back to another video. It's Peter or Mask Momentum here. Today we're going to go over the second round of quarterfinals here at the World Championship in Barcelona. It's been a while since we did one of these, but I still think it's good to go over all of them just for a historical purpose and to get better at the game, analyzing a lot of these high class games in the World Championship. So we're going to go over the lists right before we get into the game as well, to give a little more context to how the lists are made and a little bit more insight into the matchups itself, because that is very important for the context of these games as well. Even though it's going to be a different meta than a lot of times what we've seen, you know, Iyslander already rotated out of the meta, but moving forward, Katsu being a player in the meta afterwards and maybe even further into the format, and Iyslander being historically one of the best characters in the game, now reach LL, and it's good watching old characters play as well, as we liked the LL format that happened at that Battle Hardened in Barcelona. So when we take a look at this Katsu deck here, specifically, it is just going to be playing those Kodachis like normal, but we only have, you know, those Breeze Rider boots. It's going to be more of a Breeze Rider boots combo oriented deck than it is going to be a Snapdragon Scalers type of deck. So when you look at the deck list later, we're going to see that we're not going to be playing a Snatch or anything like that. We're going to be playing more heavy combo line during this deck. You also have a Hardened Crossstrap and a Spring Tunic, so most of the time when we're racing or playing a regular game, we're probably playing that Crossstrap, and then for those late game kind of decks or more resource management, we're going to look at that Fiendo Spring Tunic. We also only have AB2 in this list as well. You know, pretty much the standard AB2 or AB3, depending on Katsu's list. This one we're just going to go for AB2, and we both have the hybrid of the Mask of Momentum and the Mask of the Pouncing Links. Specifically, I know talking to Pudding, and when the deck that he came out with after, he's using Mask of the Pouncing Link specifically for this Iyslander matchup, because Mask of Momentum doesn't get a lot of value versus Iyslander because they want to block with 1 to 2 cards pretty much almost every hand. The Mask of the Pouncing Link is going to allow you to do these bigger combo lines without specific cards in your hand after just getting torn away by these ice cards and versus other discard effects. And Breaking Skills comes in versus every single matchup normally as well. So now when we look at this list, we have the 3 ancestral empowerments that are pretty much going to every there. That's going into every list. And then we have the R-War for our pump spells. Innately, we're not playing Razor Reflex in these Katsu lists anymore. That was happening in the past. A lot of them have moved away from those specifically. Now we're looking more at that combo-oriented style. We have those Be Like Waters to become, you know, that 7th through 9th Surging Strike here. Then we have the Bonds of Ancestry, because it's just super good. 5 copies, and that blue copies is probably going to be coming in because of that Mask of the Pouncing Links, with additional blue plus there. You do lose a little bit of equitable value because you can't pitch that to the Kodachi, but just adding extra blues into your deck is always good. We're seeing 4 Descendant Gust Waves. You can get this yellow Gust Wave off of that, off of the links as well. And then we're looking at this Whelming Gust Wave. We got, you know, the 3 blues, but we're also looking at 4 here, with that yellow being able to get off that links as well. And then we're looking at the interesting 7 Flusterfist. This is the first time I've seen 7 specifically with that new Bonds of Ancestry. Pretty much a 0 for 4 at the end, as Flusterfist is what is pretty much what you can get off of it. So, but they're adding that extra yellow in for this matchup as well, just for to see Flusterfist even more often. And if you've used all 3 of the red ones, you can get the yellow one, just maybe a extra 0 for 3 off Bonds, turning Bonds into basically 7 damage, 0 for 7 as well, which is still really good. So we're seeing a lot of those combo cards. And then we're going to look at the Command and Conquer, these E-Strikes, Flick Flax. Innately, he was playing these in the mirror. We'll see if he plays it in this matchup specifically, but he was playing Flick Flax basically versus everybody this weekend, playing it more because you have running this more of this combo style, and you have, you know, have more of these combo cards. Flick Flack gets even better, and you really want to set up and get those really good turns. And you can play more of a mid-range game with these Kodachis as well, setting up for those bigger turns with Katsu, which is really uniquely good. I like seeing Flick Flack, one of the best reactions, probably the best defensive reaction in the game, come back into more play in these lists. we're looking at that Soulbeat Strike, 100 wins for some starters, and Soulbeat Strike blocks for 3. It doesn't always have go again, but a 0 for 4 is always quite good, and sometimes you have innate. It makes your opponent have to block this when you have so many different cards in Katsu that you have to block. Adding just another one is super, super good. Reinforcement line to be more for that Bravo and Asylum matchup, and uniquely, something that is really interesting is that now Katsu lists are only playing one Mugenshi release and less of that Lord of Wind combo line, and want to be more playing that Dishonor combo line with Descendant Gustwaves and that Bonds, because of how flexible that line is versus maybe not as inconsistent, but just how hard it is more of a mid-range to control plan that the Lord of Wind line was. We had the more aggro plan that the Descendant Gustwave is going to bring. So we're only playing one Mugenshi release. Specifically, Mugenshi release is really, really good against Stromae specifically, but that won't happen in this game. But only playing one release this weekend from him. I can see 1 through 3, but only one in this list. We have obviously the Dishonor, the Lord of Wind. You get to freely play Warmonger's Diplomacy in Katsu as well. Also adds extra blues in your deck, and then that wins. Basically, you always want to have all your blues be combo cards because of the flick flack, and be able to search them out and discard them. And then obviously free to play Warmonger's Diplomacy, which Katsu is always really, really good at, and ninjas are really good at abusing that card. Now we're gonna look at this Iyslander deck. I also did bring Iyslander to Worlds, so there's a lot of similarities in this deck list versus what I brought. But this one's pretty interesting here. Iron Tide Gauntlet, for example, playing the Gauntlet instead of the Iron Rot is also something that just gets to freely block for 1. You have to pay this 1 resource. There's so much equity in this Fatal Spring Tunic, and you have so many 2 costs that you want to play from Arsenal and everything like that, that it is pretty interesting that we saw the Gauntlet coming out this weekend. Does still play the Northern Hood and as well for that mirror, but the Gauntlet is really interesting to me specifically. Did not expect people to play this weekend, and one of the Iylanders in top 8 actually did play it, so pretty interesting. His list has a lot going on. He has 1 red Ice Bolt in here as well, just to get a little bit more arcane damage, probably for that Droma Meter there. He is playing the full 5, 3 Sink Below, and 2 Fate Foreseen on that defensive reaction scale. Is still playing E-Strikes, the Woundable, and the Fatal Spirit, and has the CNCs in the side. Is playing Sigils for the mirror as well. And now he has actually the tech card of Arctic Incineration Red, which is really, really, really good against aggro decks. And probably is playing this against Stromae as well, just to try to shut down one of their turns. This is a pretty interesting tech card in the matchup. Also, he's only playing 6 Aether Ice Vein. Is just totally not playing any of the yellow ones this weekend, which is a pretty interesting choice. I thought Aether Ice Vein was really good this weekend, especially at that yellow slot being like a pseudo red. So interesting to see him not playing it. And then we have, the regular suite of blues, obviously playing the 3 E-Pot to respect the mirror a little bit more. Has 3 Blizzards, has the usual suspects, and then is playing 2 Warmonger's Diplomacy. You've seen a lot of Iyslander lists either not play it at the end of this meta or play a full 1 to 3 copies, but he's deciding on 2 copies this weekend specifically. So pretty interesting list as well from the Iyslander player, and we'll have to see what else we can do. So let's get into this game here. Playing through here uniquely. These guys are actually locals, I believe. They test on the same team. They're both from Hong Kong, and sucks that they had to play in Worlds top 8. But if one of them has to win, at least one of them gets to go on into the semifinals uniquely. So as we look here, also, it's lagging a little bit. But Pudding has a Extended Tunic, which is really, really nice. He has also a signed Mask of the Pouncing Link. And then there's that Cornet Peak that is graded from the Iyslander side as well, with the Mark Pool signature on the Waning Moon, which is Cold Foil, which is really, really, really cool to see. I know a lot of people like collecting a lot of these Cold Foils and Extended Arts, as well as I do. So we'll have to it's pretty nice to see all that coming through. I know that this Worlds had a lot of this like lag kind of a problem here, especially on, didn't know it would come through this recording. This actually isn't my computer, this is actually just the main broadcast of how it was, so it might be a little awkward to look at, but there's actually no play from the Iyslander going first here as well. He's just arsenals and passes, and then we're going to see the start of the Kadachi into a lot of stuff. You can't Kadachi and Kadachi, so this is also a pretty weak start from the Katsu player as well, because if you don't have, it looks like he either doesn't have innate go again in his hand, or just a lot of, like, it doesn't see that he has innate go again in his hand. He's just playing this dishonor. He does have, you know, obviously he could tide flippers, probably not a tide flippers here as well, but just don't block with CNC here actually. Yeah, is just blocking with CNC, which is pretty interesting. Looks like he probably has something else to cast here as well. Looks like a Wounded Bull maybe. Yeah, so it does actually have a Wounded Bull in his arsenal. So coming in for 8 here. Bull being pretty good in this situation. You see the players laughing a lot and having fun in this game as well. So it's pretty. That's always really good to see. Obviously, you know, two guys know each other on the same testing team, and just to have fun in, you know, the quarterfinals of Worlds here. Something interesting is that Katsu is now being able to filter his graveyard because he needs specific cards in your graveyard for the deck to really function with those bonds turns. This is quite good for him because he has a Flusterfist and now a Dishonor in his graveyard as well. And then now the Iyslander does get to Blizzard. Iyslander trigger the Frostbite out as well. Basically, blizzarding here is really good because he gets to stop this whole surging line. Because it costs 2, doesn't have the tunic up as well, doesn't have probably enough resources to pay through it, and being able to stop this surging, maybe even taking 5 from the surging, and having, you know, additional attacks coming on the back end is quite good for him because Pudding did take 5 damage off that Wounded Bull to be able to set this up. And Katsu needs a decent amount of cards in his hand to throw in his hero ability and other stuff like that. So, doesn't pay for that Surging Strike because that Blizzard is full. I'm going to take a whole blue pitch out of your hand. And then is going to block with a red Ice Vein, actually. And take 2 here, go to 33. We knew that he had, you know, another Wounded Bull as well. So, does come out through that arsenal. Had another Blizzard as well in his hand, so basically had the Katsu locked up on that turn no matter if he could pay or not. Actually pretty nice that he could get out of that turn with double Blizzard from his hand, because you do need to block a lot versus Katsu in a lot of the situations. So I know talking to people beforehand, people were saying that Katsu was beating Iyslander in their testing specifically, and that is something that he was pretty scared about going into this top 8. I heard from a lot of people was that he was getting beat by the Katsu in testing, and he was hopefully that wasn't going to happen in this top 8. But the game is looking pretty well. I know in my testing of Iyslander leading into Worlds, I was beating a lot of the Katsus. I actually did beat one at the World Championship as well in day 1. So I do understand what they're talking about it being a very scary matchup, but I did think it was Iyslander favored, and then hearing them think it was Katsu favored, I was pretty interested about that as well. So also, something you can see is that the Hong Kong guys had a very cool, like, custom sleeves for everybody. It has their name on them, and like their likeness on them, and just like what cards cards they like to, play. Pudding has the, Katsu sleeves in his honor as well, so it's pretty nice here. So now we have the Surging Shing coming for 4. You have 2 floating here. So you're just gonna like to block for 3 and then take 1. See what he has in his arsenal, if he has anything as well. But he's just gonna pass. Yeah, didn't have anything. He's gonna come for 1 and 4. Good block here, saying if you're gonna play your arsenal, but it is perfectly fine. Does have a Scarfer Scar, which is one of the best things that you can have, especially in these aggro matchups. Really puts a lot of pressure back on the mid-range aggro decks from Iyslander to be able to chip them out basically every single turn. A block with this Warmongers, take 1. Then we do have a CNC as well, so put a lot of pressure. It has to block with 3 cards as well, so pretty good from that Iyslander player. Very strong start in this game. Now the Katsu only has 1 card in his hand, so it is just going to be that yellow Whelming Gust Wave. It's coming in for 2. Iyslander hasn't been has used the arsenal as arsenal in the red specifically, not a lot of doesn't really have a lot of the blue spells in arsenal to chip the Katsu down. He's been playing a lot on his turn, which is uniquely very good, and he's keeping being able to come 1 to 3 life under what the Katsu is doing to still get those woundable and those Fiendl's blocks as well. He's thinking about if he takes the 2 here, he might have something that wants him to be lower, but if he, uniquely blocked with Fiendl's, he would go back to 32 and then he would turn off the other cards in there. Also kind of thinking about the Tide Flippers, this hit, he used Katsu ability, maybe get something after the Whelming Gust Wave, you could get Bonds and then keep going, but he does block, pretty good, and then does not use his arsenal for pullback. Have another Scarfer Scar, super good here, is uniquely 1 life under, so you can go Scarfer Scar if he has, an Icing from arsenal or has another attack from hand. Basically it's to time walk him for the previous turn by using Scarfer Scar into CNC, and basically can do the same thing this turn. You can go Scarfer Scar into another attack. It's just a big pressure, nice turn from the Iyslander player. A lot of the 2 blocks out as well is also pretty unique because you do need to block very well against Katsu. So it does no block, does take the full 4, and then has that woundable for 7 and not 8 because he is actually higher, which I don't think the Iyslander really don't complain too much about losing his 1 point of value because he is higher in life. I do like how Iyslander became this deck that got to play these woundables that were pretty much considered bulk and never not really playable until now. So it is pretty interesting that this that happened. So we'll look at it a little bit more. Deciding we should block this woundable as well. If he doesn't block it and goes to 21, he's basically kind of betting that his next hand is the one that's going to be able to carry him throughout the rest of this game. And to be able to carry throughout the rest of the game is really important as well, because he needs to put the Iyslander on the back foot, right? This Iyslander has been able to play Iyslander's game this entire time and not Katsu's game. Katsu's just trying to hold on, survive, take the least amount of damage, while the Iyslanders played a lot of their efficient threats this game as well. So this is going to take 3 here, go to 25, keep a 3 card plus that arsenal, so at least a 4 card hand, has the Mask of the Pouncing Lynx. He's going to start off with 100 wins for 3. Uniquely 100 wins is quite good, as we can see in Iyslander's hand, we saw a Fate Seam and an E-Strike. We've not seen a channel like Frigid from the Iyslander side as well. This is uniquely very good against Katsu, because Katsu wants to go wide. Selecting to nap block this 3. Go to 28. Is using the Katsu ability. Looks like he might be using the Mask of the Pouncing Lynx here. At least putting the triggers on the stack, really thinking through what he can do in the rest of this turn. There's not really anything that combos with the 100 wins besides just the blue. So it's not really uniquely when you see that we have this Katsu ability and the Mask of the Pouncing Lynx, that means that his arsenal okay, he's not gonna use both of them, just puts them both on the stack. Besides that, his hand is already good. Now he gets actually another 100 wins here, which is quite good. Has the natural double line. So this one's an attack for 4 go again this time. Iyslander is going to take it as well. Then we have a red Gust Wave from Arsenal, keeping with 1 card in his hand as well. So we can go with 3, 4, 3. Iyslander just going to take it, and we're just going to pass the turn. Iyslander not using his arsenal either. Has the 3rd Scar for Scar here, so he likes to take all this damage because he does have a good crack back here. So it takes the 4, now they're even to 21-21. Additionally has the E-Strike with Go Again for 5 Go Again. So basically, the Katsu player went 3-4-3, and which is 10 damage, and then Iyslander goes 4-5 with Go Again, and then still has 1 card in his hand, so he could play either another attack from Arsenal. He Cornet's Peak here to take that Tunic counter off, which is probably not the strongest play, but we do have a 4-5 here. So presenting 9 damage on this turn. Still has Go Again to play Fiendals or play another Wounded Bull out. Using a lot of these attacks early as well, so you can block later. Hasn't used any spell this game actually, which is super surprising from the Iyslander. Has just seen more of the attack side of his deck, which is pretty good in this situation, but usually is not the you want to see versus more of the control decks, and not against one of those aggro decks like Katsu is. But Katsu had to respect what Iyslander has been doing a lot of this game. See if he's not been able to keep a lot of these hands unless he wants to take a significant amount of damage, and none of these hands, putting his head, that were good enough to take 7 to be able to play all of it. He has blocked a decent amount. It looks like he's going to block even more here. In blocks 5, so blocks this E-Strike out. Oh, and has the red Arctic. Was wondering if you would bring these in this game. Did have triple red in his hand, so even if he probably wanted to play a blue spell from his arsenal, didn't really have the option to. We've sat on this arsenal for a couple, I think at least 2 turns now. Katsu just passes, cannot play anything either. So Iyslander gets to, you know, present 4 damage, then 5 damage, and then basically blink Katsu's turn as well. And now we're looking at it from this Iyslander's turn, Iyslander's side as well. Let's see what else. Okay, does have an Ice Vein in his arsenal here. So isn't going to be able to use all the cards in your hand. That's something that Iyslander specifically struggles with a lot, is that Iyslander can't really use 4 or 5 card hands very efficiently unless you have specific, you know, Scar for Scars or E-Strikes in your hand. And because he's already used all 3 Scars, doesn't even actually have Go Again because we're 21-21, which is also a lot better for the Iyslander to be even in life at this point in the game, especially around that 20 life total. But because you can't use, you know, a significant amount of cards in your hand, that we are only going to be able to use, you know, this Ice Fan and then the winning Moon this turn to, you know, play and kind of cycle through. So let's see. We know we have at least 1 blue in your hand with that Polar Blast, to be able to arsenal that for the next turn and be able to give Frostbite and Winning Moon if we need as well. Haven't used Tuning Resource either. Still have that Gauntlet and everything up, so the Lynx hasn't been used either. So looking like maybe a more explosive sub 20 game we're looking at here. Does only have AB2 as well, so this is going to take at least, you know, at least going to take 1 card for the Ace or Iceman. If he wants to AB1, take 4, go to 17, and then he's also going to come with the Winning Moon. So maybe overpitching for this is not that bad either, because you can get the full 2 and then 2 value if you double blue pitch here or blue yellow pitch. Looks like just AB1s and takes 4. Okay, so okay, so he AB2s, then uses the Tuning Resources to pay for the other 2, and then he yellow pitches for that for the Winning Moon, the arsenals. And we have the 4 Go Again with the Surging, not the Surging, the Soul Beat Strike. Okay, just have the defense reaction for this, so we sink below the Surging. We have the Ancestral Empowerment, and we're going to draw a card. Let's take 1. So if he uses Katsu ability here, and Iyslander has an ice card in arsenal, he does just kind of blow him out. So the Katsu cannot use his Katsu ability here, unless he wants to get blown out by an ice card in the arsenal. He's gonna look if he wants to do. He's gonna put him on the stack here. See if he just decides not to use both of them like he did the first time. Isn't gonna use it. Isn't gonna use it. Makes sense. Does actually have a Be Like Water here, which is quite good. 0 for 3 Go Again. Looks like there's another Arctic in hand. I don't know what the other 2 cards are exactly. Okay, he's gonna block with the Arctic to actually take 1, guard 19. Let's see if Katsu has another. Does not have another attack in his arsenal either, or one that he wants to play in this situation. Did have just double Arctic, so didn't want to play his arsenal this entire turn. So it might be just another, you know, another red in arsenal. But and is just a Winning Moon here. Now this play specifically is a little bad that he drew double Arctic as well. It's going to be his 2nd and 3rd copy of that Arctic, so we're out of Scars, we're out of Arctics in this game. Has used a couple E-Strikes and a couple of Wounded Bulls. With your opponent having 3 Frostbites, if he wants to play the game, if he wants to play his turn the next turn, he does have to pay a lot of resources. So you can either get this 2 damage pretty much chipped in, or your opponent blocks this 2 damage and then just passes with that frostbite unless he wants to take additional damage, or just has a really blue heavy hand. So looking quite good for this Iyslander player as well. 1819 is ahead by a life, can, you know, expect the judge with the tunic to pay for everything with as well. So what's the game plan for Katsu here, right? How can he win this game through all this disruption as well? Something he can do is Iyslander does draw a little bit of awkward hands, but specifically, he needs to be able to play, you know, these, you know, maybe small amount of damage hands. You know, this is pretty good examples, right? He's full blue pitching for these frostbites, so for the soul beat strike to come in for 4 with potential to go again. He's gonna be able to like let him chip and stay around this life total, and then maybe if the Iyslander stumbles a little bit or makes a bad read on what the hand could be from the Katsu side, that he can get back into this game, use the links, maybe have, you know, a mini combo with that links, with, you know, taking that extra, having 1 less card in hand, but the links allows you to gain that card back. You can see how Masculine Momentum probably, I don't even think would have had an impact to this game at all. And the links, what the links could be used for in this game, because you're not really attacking, you know, 3 to 4 times per turn. If Iyslander can help it, that's how Iyslander is going to win. So trying to win those games through Iyslander seeing all their stuff like he did with the Scar for Scars and all these attacks early, Katsu has done a good job in keeping into the game. Thinking on this turn a little bit more, haven't seen what that arsenal is, didn't play it, hasn't been playing it for the last couple of turns, so don't know if it is a blue or not. Wouldn't have been an E-strike where he would have E-strike, go again, and then to red Arctic. Hasn't used Tunic this game either, still has a lot of the exit stuff. Hasn't actually used Peak either, but most of the time his opponent has had Tunic on 3, besides that one turn where he took it. Pretty interesting decision point here. So he just, a lot of the time Iyslander just wants to block with 1 card and play the rest of his turn, but he has to play around. You know, if he got Ancestral earlier this game, he, you know, played a defensive reaction, so we'll have to see what else to go forward here. It does take 4. Blizzards. Okay, so Blizzards, so you can't use it. Alright, see the Cold Snap, we see the red Ice Vein as well. Finally see a first channel like for this game as well, but it's in your hand, and we already have used the, can't get the Arsenal out of here either, so let's see. That is going to be the 3rd Blizzard, because he pitched 1 and then he played 1 at the very beginning of the game. So it's going to be a couple more hands until we're back at that pitch stack. So no more Blizzards from that side that Katsu has to worry about. But he's getting pelted down by this arcane damage as well. Because if he likes his Arsenal, he will just pitch away this channel like feature as well. So he's going to do 5 and then 2. Looks like we have at least 1 blue from that side. We have a Be Like Water, a blue. A Whelming, don't know what color that is, and I can't see the other card, so Does pitch. Okay, pitches 2, discards a card. And there's an AB1, take 1. So still gets the full blue pitch value because he gets to 2 and then 1. Does have to discard another card. Has the Be Like Water here for 0 for 3 with Go Again. Well, this 2 and 2 game is always going to be Iyslander favored because Iyslander wants to play this 2 and 2 game, wants to strip cards from his opponent, play this little chip down for the rest of the game, eventually kill you at 11 or less. Does have Whelming gear. This Fate for Scenes, nice promo. Leaves it on top. Okay, let's see if Iyslander plays his Arsenal. Doesn't play at the end. See if he plays it on his turn. Maybe it's an attack here. If he has multiple blues. Nope. He's just gonna play that Ice Bolt here. Just gonna be a blue Ice Bolt, just coming in for 3. He can use that Tunic and then go 3-2 here. See if he chooses to do that. Yep, does use the Tunic and then Winning Moons as well. 3 and then 2. So there wasn't disruption here. It's just going to be straight damage against for that Katsu. So this is going to be this is basically the game here, right? Is that Katsu's at 9, which is in basically kill range from the Iyslander if he taps out. But this is the first full hand that Katsu has had basically this entire game. So yellow pitches for this Surging Strike, so we got 5. Go again here. Has 2 cards in hand. And that Arsenal here. This is their main attack, is in that Surging Strike. Finally has seen another one this game, and being able to attack with it and not have to block or pitch it for other value. So we got that Surging for 5 with Go Again. Let's see. What the Iyslander does. Finally plays his Arsenal, which has been a channel like Frigid this entire time. And attacks the rest of his turn by 2 and then 1. So next thing by 2 and then by 1. Does take the 5 here, elects to go to 10. Has, the triggers from here. See if he's going to use it here. If he has a blue pitch in hand, he can discard the last card in his hand to keep going, and then say his Arsenal or the card in his hand and this Mask of the Pouncing Lynx are, good cards. He's thinking about it. He needs to be able to do enough damage so that his opponent can't keep channel like Frigid on his turn, right? We're at single digit life total from that Katsu, so anytime his opponent just has, good damage ice card from his Arsenal and then draws, another Ice Fin in hand, can Storm Shatters that out. 9 is very easy to kill from. Doesn't use Katsu, doesn't use Mask. This hits for the 5. See if he has additional plays this turn. He needs to be able to attack more. Okay, just has a red in hand. So this is going to be the Whelming Gust Wave. But this does have the additional attack. It's going to be 4, Go Again, hit, draw a card. Okay, looks like we have a Fiendl's in hand, another ice card. So he's gonna block 2 with his Gauntlet and then take 2. I'll look at this Lynx, draws the card. believe he still has the blue bonds in his deck, unless he blocked with it early with one of the bonds he was blocking with, but he did block with it, so it is in his graveyard. So he can't go get it here. That'd be the best option if he could go get it, but unfortunately he cannot. Doesn't have Katsu ability. Doesn't look like he has anything his links can do either. You'd have to have at least a yellow. You'd be able to swing the Kadachi here, at least for a 1. Does have a blue. Okay, he's gonna use the Kadachi. He needs to pay 2 for that, so you guys can have 1 floating. Cannot do this. There's a channel. He does not have enough resources. Okay. They didn't catch it. That's fine. I don't think it matters because he does get to just attack for 7, get a life here. Yeah, because you gotta pay 2 for the Kadachi. Use a channel, then he has to pay 2 for the Descendant, and he only had 3 resources, so couldn't do that the following turn. Does look like he isn't gonna get any value off this Mask of the Pouncing Lynx this entire game either, which is pretty unfortunate from the Katsu side. That he wasn't able to use it as well. Should probably block with the Lynx as well, just to maybe save a card in his hand. Now they're looking at okay, they're trying to see what could have happened here. They're gonna try to rewind this game because he couldn't have attacked with that Gust Wave. They finally caught it. So they're just gonna procedure here, just rewind the game because not much information has been, showed. Reverting it all the way back to him not attacking, just taking the one from the Kadachi. Okay, just gets to arsenal that card. Then come back. Obviously, the Iyslander is going to make the same plays, so in game 1, it's just going to be 3 life higher because it doesn't take anything from that Descendant. But still attacking for 7 here. With, Katsu being at 9, does have to give a significant amount of cards. Because if that card in his arsenal is a arcane damage spell as well. Yeah, good time to bank this Lynx in. It's just going to be blocking for 2. Doesn't get the value out of it this game as well, which is kind of unfortunate. But there's no block for 6. Take 1, go to 8. Channel goes to 1. Then he gets to arsenal. So this is an E-Strike, just for probably 7 here. Pushing that yellow, has one floating. So there's a lot of instances where Iyslander can be just doing 9 damage here. Let's see. So has the the 2. It's going to take 1, go to 7. And then he has it. Takes the 3 and then the 4, and that's going to be the game here. Iyslander taking this one against Katsu, being able to, you know, shut down a significant amount of his turns. Katsu just never could have, you know, a big turn at all, and just gets outvalued from the game because Iyslander gets to do that. Just outvalues, plays a better 2-2 game, and then that is going to be the game. Pretty, not, I wouldn't say uneventful game, but you just see the dominance of how Iyslander gets to play these games. If Iyslander gets to slow down his opponent really can't do anything, and gets to eventually chip him out of the game until Iyslander wins, basically. Alright, that's going to be our second quarter's game here. I'll be going over the rest of them, and I'll see you guys in the next one.